All right, everybody, we are back. It's the Safety and the Sportswriter with Knoxville, Nate, and Big Joe here on a Monday evening. The 2nd of August, we are in the last month of summer and camps in the NFL are in full session. We're winding down the Olympics. Baseball had their trade deadline, which we were just talking about and lamenting about coming on the air, even though we're both Met fans, and they did pick up somebody big. It's like it was disgusting to see how the Cubs and the Nationals, two teams that have won the World Series in the last 5 years, just decided, let's give up. So, but that's baseball. It's what happens with baseball. We're going to talk a little Olympics. We have Pat Delaney, the longtime defensive coordinator of OHIO Wesleyan University, where Nate used to play, and his personal coach coming on to talk to us about what the Bishops are going through this year as they took a year off last year because of COVID. They're trying to put their program back together. Let's talk about the difficulties of that. Plus, everything that's going on in college football. We'll touch base with Coach Delaney on. And we've got a lot of things to talk about, including Carson Wentz's big injury. But I want to start off tonight something that's been thrown around. I got into conversations over the weekend. It's now become the biggest thing in the Olympics, which is Simone Biles, and the fact that she decided not to compete. She's got one more chance to compete, but supposedly she has what's called the twisties, which is a affliction. I don't say it doesn't happen. I mean, we've seen it happen in baseball where guys, suddenly can't throw the ball to the base. So we know psychologically it can affect people's performances, and I have no problem with the fact that she's in danger on there on the beams. But I mean, now as a sports reporter at heart, it's being compared to the tennis player who now wants to play but not give interviews, and that's her big problem. And I think it's two different horses and two different problems. Reporters have to ask questions. That's our job. And if you don't like being asked questions, then don't play. There's no law that says you have to play tennis to become a millionaire. But that's part of the thing that goes along with being an athlete is you have to come out and answer questions, as stupid as they may be or as intelligent as they may be, for reporters. And to compare the two things, I think is a little crazy. And I don't know. It's just more outside stuff that's infecting sports. But I don't know. What do you think about it, Nate?
To be honest, I don't really have an opinion on the tennis player because I haven't heard that much about that. I don't know who particularly that is, so I'm not even going to comment it. As far as the Simone Biles thing, she's done a lot for U.S. gymnastics and won a ton of medals and, performed at the highest level. So I think I don't understand, and obviously this is her decision. So I don't understand why the media can't move on. Let's talk about the girls that are performing, the girls that are competing and trying to win medals, instead of the girl that's decided to, not compete, which is certainly her choice. If she doesn't feel obviously she's the one that's going to get all the recognition if she wins. So shouldn't she be allowed to decide whether or not she performs or not? I think so. And let's move on to the ladies that are out there. It's like I can't even watch it because every time I turn it on, they're talking about her instead of the girl that's on the screen doing the flips, and I'm like, okay, I don't get this. So that's the only thing I really have to say about it. But we do, the good part about this show and coming on at 7:00 sometimes is we get to break some news. And we just got a bunch of news. Obviously, we're not talking tons of NBA anymore because we're moving into the football realm. But, free agency began today. And it looks like, we kind of looked stupid because we kept saying, Lowry's going to get traded. Lowry's going to go here. Lowry's going to go there. We can finally say it. Lowry is going somewhere.
Where's he going?
Is no longer on the Raptors. He is signed with the Miami Heat. They're finalizing a sign and a trade deal. This just happened apparently in the last 30 minutes, last 20 minutes. And so I don't have all the specifics in front of me, but it's a 3-year deal, sign and trade deal. And Lowry is moving on. So, good for him. I really didn't think he was the problem in Toronto. this past year, but he certainly got most of the blame. And I think he can really help down in Miami because Dragic is a great player, and I love him as a point guard. But he's had some injuries, and when he's gone out, they haven't had much behind him.
Yeah, I mean, I like how when everybody loves Lowry. I mean, I think I would have rather seen him in a place that needs him a little bit more. New York, for one thing. The Knicks could use him. The Celtics for sure could use him. But I mean, Miami is only 1 year away from the finals, or removed from their finals run. And like you said, they still have that infrastructure of a team that, with his leadership, it kind of like lends itself to the Toronto team that won a couple of years ago, because, even though Kawhi was the man everybody talked about, really, it was a team without superstars. It was a team of guys, like Bam, and those people are really not at the big levels yet. So I think he'll walk right in there and be one of the guys and be able to help them with his experience. So yeah, it's a good pickup.
Yeah, I agree. And I can't believe I'm saying this, but Lonzo is signing with another team. Lonzo Ball just signed a 4-year, $85 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. Let's talk about Lonzo for a minute. This is his 4th year in the NBA and his 3rd team. I thought he showed signs last year of progressing, but I don't know, man. I that's not a good look for me. Playing on your 3rd team in 4 years. I don't know. I mean, what does that say about the team you were on? Obviously, they weren't willing to match that deal. And, Chicago is so starved for any type of talent to fill that roster out. I mean, I don't blame them for signing him, but I don't know. And I'm not sure, good for Lonzo. I mean, good for him. Go get paid. But what are the Pelicans doing? I mean, I really didn't see him as a priority, but wasn't impressed with their draft. And, now this is already, one departure. Hopefully they're going to get going and sign somebody to help out Zion and the boys.
Yeah, I mean, what you were talking about, I mean, that's another place that would have been perfect for Lowry. It would have been down to Pelicans to work.
I agree with that. I agree with that 100%.
I mean, Lonzo, I hate to, for lack of a better term, it could be the leftovers from his father, just who aggravates the hell out of everybody. But I mean, I know the Suns have tried to push that away and do things on their own. Who he reminds me of as Lonzo is Jason Williams, the point guard out of Florida and Marshall, who was a great passing point guard, not too much a shooter, not too much, but he's a great final piece. I don't think Chicago, if you told me you had a number 1 scorer, a number 2 scorer, and Lonzo's going to be your number 3 guy and your point guard, I like that plan. But you're betting on Zach LaVine or to being the number 1 guy and Lonzo pushing him to another level. I don't see it. The Bulls. I think the Bulls are one of these teams that's craving something good. It's been a long time, since the days of Michael Jordan, and the city doesn't have much to cheer about, and the Bulls probably don't attract anybody anymore. So I would say it's kind of a desperate move by a desperate franchise.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that 100%. This isn't a guy who's gonna tilt the needle towards the title, in my opinion. So what's the point of giving him $90 million? I don't know. But here we are, week 1 of NFL camp, and we've already got Carson Wentz hurt. This is what I was talking about when I was mentioning these people that were talking about how reuniting with his old coach was all that he needed to do to get back into the fold after the horrible year he had in Philadelphia last year. And, I was like, well, we'll see. Some guys never recover from years like that. And to be honest, he's never been the guy that finished the season a whole lot. So we'll see what happens. And here it is. He's already, pretty shaky with his confidence. He's already gotten hurt without even putting shoulder pads on yet. And he's going to be out 5 to 12 weeks and be up for, having to get surgery. So not good news for the Colts, in my opinion.
Well, no, and the other thing is the stupid stories that come out is, this is an old injury. This is something they had with the Eagles. Begs the question, why did you trade for him? How did he pass your physical to get the trade to go through? And he suddenly reports to camp, and now you're saying he's got a foot injury that's going to keep him out possibly 12 weeks that he has to have surgery on. I mean, there's a story there that's going to infect the Colts training camp for the next 4 weeks. When did you know? How did you know? And, why did you even go through with the trade if you knew this guy was damaged goods? We already knew he was damaged goods because of his susceptibility to the interception and the fact that his game had stepped back like 4 levels. But now he had a physical injury as well. I mean, that just drives me crazy.
Well, and now the talk has begun about, let's bring in Nick Foles. I mean, obviously, this is the guy that backed up Wentz in Philadelphia. He's basically buried on the Chicago Bears depth chart. There's talk that he was going to get released anyway. So, now there's people clamoring to bring Nick Foles into the fold for the Indianapolis Colts. And what does that do for Wentz's psyche if the guy that supplanted him for the Super Bowl MVP is now running the show when he does ever get healthy? I mean, I don't think that's good for him if they do bring him in. But if they don't bring him in, what does that mean? They're going to go through the season with Nick Eason and
Jacob Eason.
Yeah, Jacob Eason. Excuse me. I was getting confused.
But you've been my safety net plenty of times.
For the Georgia and then transferred to Washington. Decent prospect in my opinion, but never taken a snap in an NFL game, and certainly not somebody you want to turn your franchise over to for any length of time, in my opinion. And there's no one behind him, so I think you have to bring a veteran in here at this point, in my opinion. I don't know I don't know if you call Josh McCown. I don't know what you do. I don't know if you wait till somebody gets released, but I think Nick Foles is actually a really good move here. Because he's available, and you need somebody that can go out there and play 4 or 5 games for you, regardless of this injury with Wentz as your quarterback.
Well, in 2 things. First of all, they owe Wentz exactly nothing. Okay, this is a team. This is not a team that's supposed to be rebuilding. This is not the Jacksonville Jaguars. This is not even the the Houston Texans. The Colts and the Titans are supposed to be fighting this out for the division crown. Okay, that's why Wentz was brought here, because they're supposed to be a playoff level team. And so for the other guys on the team, if Wentz isn't ready to go, you have to get a quarterback that, like you said, has at least a resume of success, which is Nick Foles. I mean, if that hurts Carson Wentz's feelings at all, if it doesn't light the right fire on him, fine. I get it. That's his problem. Then it's proven the fact that he is not the competitor that he was supposed to be. I just, when you look at it, it's the only move they can make at this point. And the other thing that got me crazy today was the people I was watching a little bit, and I'm not going to name names, but the people that were talking about this injury were talking still about Carson Wentz and his bounce back year, when it's not about the bounce back year anymore. It's about when will he be available to play, and how, and who can get them in the best situation where they won't be 2-10 by the time he comes back, or 2-6 when the time he gets back from his foot injury, if he's going to be out 12 weeks.
Well, let's look at it this way. I mean, let's say that Wentz and Frank Reich reconnect, and he gets past all the mental hurdles, and he's ready to play, and he plays great. Well, still, the number one key for the quarterback position is availability. You've got to be able to go out there and play. I mean, look at our boy out there in Jimmy G in 49er land. He's about to get replaced because, he missed 6 games last year. Carson Wentz has missed big chunks of seasons. And like I said, he hasn't put shoulder pads on and he's already hurt in Indianapolis. So, you remember me talking last year about how Nick Foles didn't really get a chance in Chicago. They had no offensive line. They had no running game to speak of. Their wide receivers were marginal at best. And they just kind of blamed it all on Nick Foles and now buried him on the depth chart. Well, this would be a great place for him to go. If I'm his agent, I'm on the phone right now.
I definitely agree with you there. Hey, we got Coach Delaney in the bullpen. Let's bring him in. Hold on. Let me click him in. Coach, you there?
Yep.
How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you? I'm good.
Hey, Coach. Hey, appreciate you coming on with us.
Yeah, good to see you, Nate.
Yeah, man. How you been, Coach? You been doing all right?
Great.
Awesome. Well, we wanted to bring you on and talk to you a little bit tonight. Obviously, you've been a coach for a long time, and last year kind of sucked for everybody, but it really sucked for a lot of football programs. Joe is a big fan of the Ivy League and covers a lot of Ivy League games, and they didn't play last year. And obviously, you guys missed your season. Let us know and let our listeners know what that was like, and what you guys did with all the things going on with COVID.
Well, we didn't. It was real interesting because we didn't know that we weren't going to have a season until after our kids reported.
Wow.
And the whole summer, about every week, the situation changed, and we were allowed to do this, not allowed to do this, and so it was kind of we thought we were going to get to play. I really did, and right after the kids reported, it got real bad, and so we did as much as we could do. We actually lifted a bunch. We had to modify that where you can only have one kid in a rack and you have the plastic down in between the middle and you do all the things that are safe. We tried to be safe. We didn't want to be a spreader place. And we had some kids who popped positive. It was more from the way they were living in the dorms than anything else. And but we soldiered through the fall. And the kids made the best of it that they could. And then we played 3 games in the spring.
Nice.
We had a fourth, and that one got canceled like the Tuesday of the game. We were supposed to play on a Thursday night, and we got canceled on Tuesday because of the COVID on their team. They had a deal on their team, and so it was interesting, and the guys opting out and staying in, and we tried to soldier through all that and make it as fun as possible for the guys, and we lifted pretty much the whole year with the guys, but we had to really, as our weight room, Nate, it's we could fit our whole team in if we wanted to, but we were down where we were running 5 or 6 groups every day.
Yeah.
And so trying to keep everybody distanced and all that kind of stuff. And we went through the testing and so it was a really challenging year, really frustrating year for most of us. We did in the fall play an inter-squad scrimmage, which was kind of our game.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. And the guys had a great time with that, and we drafted teams, and it was kind of a cool deal. But then in the spring, we played the three games and kind of got disappointed on the last one, but we had another kind of what we call the Night of Champions, where we're having a bunch of different kind of competitions on the field that are fun for the guys, and we had a cookout afterwards and stuff like that. So we tried to do the best we could with what we were dealt.
Yeah.
Coach, I would think the hardest part was for the seniors. A lot of these guys, or most of them, probably it's the last time they're going to be playing football, a game they've loved. and to lose that season. Are any of them coming back with eligibility of any kind, or was that the end for them?
They all got a blanket waiver from the NCAA, so anybody could come back if they want to. Now, being a Division III school, we're not Ivies, but we are, we're an expensive place, and it's we get them out in 4 years typically. So we lost. I don't want to say we lost, but we had 9 seniors didn't get to play a full season. We do have 6 seniors coming back to finish their career because they wanted to, and so we, and that was completely in their hands. We didn't try to convince them one way or another because we know, that hey, there's a reality that most of our guys aren't going to make the big time and get any play after college. So their play after college is their career, and a lot of 9 of those guys were ready to go, and so they moved on, and we've got 6 of them that stayed back, and they're all pretty impactful players for us.
Yeah, I mean that's what I was thinking about. You mentioned that it's kind of a pricey place to hang out. I remember that from even back when I went there, which was at this point decades ago, as you can see with my gray beard. It was a while back when I was on campus, but it was pricey then. So I can imagine my dad probably not wanting to float the bill, for an extra season of football. But I think it's great that 6 of them are getting to come back and play, and that hopefully we're lined up to play right now. I mean, the first thing I got to ask coaches, you guys, you still doing the 3 days up there in Delaware or what?
No, we did away with those a long time ago. That's the NCAA kind of mandate. There's no more 2-a-days at any level in the NCAA. So we augment our stuff with lifting. And meetings, and do some yoga, do some stretching, do some pool stuff, some recovery stuff. So it's we augment our days that way. We still fill up their days during camp, but we're only practicing 1 time a day, and we ease into it a lot different from the days when you were here. Yeah, so we're not, the 3-a-days are over. Yes.
Coach, another class I want to talk about was last year's incoming freshmen who didn't get to play like the full schedule, like you talked about. They played the 3 games in the spring. When you think of them in your mind as a coach, do you still think of them as freshmen now, or are they sophomores? And how does that affect the new freshmen coming in?
Yeah, it's a really interesting. That's a really interesting question, and I don't know, honestly. I mean, that's the best answer I can give you. We had some who were ready to play right when they arrived, and like we had a running back from Florida who was terrific, and a couple other guys that came in and were able to make their splash in the spring. But for the most part, those guys, none of those guys, not any of them went through a camp, right? So we brought them in. But we really didn't have a camp. They canceled stuff. All we did was lift and practice a little bit, and that was really limited as well. So yeah, that's a really interesting question. Some of them I feel like are with the program, but so last year's class and this year's class have never been through a camp at Ohio Wesleyan. So it's going to be a new thing for a whole lot of kids. The other thing that we missed out on that you may not think about is we weren't allowed to sit in groups and watch film.
Yeah.
So we lose all that. I mean, that's where you learn the most, is watching yourself and watching the other guys who are playing your position, and how the coaches are correcting you and trying to get you to play the way they want to. And it's something that it dawned on me at the end of spring, because we just sent notes out on Huddle, right? So we've got, Huddle's our film deal, and you can send notes right out. but the kids only read the notes that are about themselves. Typically, yeah, you'll have a couple that are that will read through all the notes, but typically they're only going to read the notes that are about themselves, and so they don't get that constant or the feedback maybe that they needed to be better football players, to understand the way we want them to play. And that was the thing that it came to. I was having meetings with one of my senior linebackers, and he and I both agreed that was a big reason why we didn't develop as quickly as I thought we would.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense, Coach. And one other question, which I'm sure you probably can answer a little bit a part of, is, with everything going on and the way everything was last year, how did recruiting go? How were you guys communicating with these kids? I mean, I remember, back when I was playing, the reason I chose to go there was that I got to come there and meet you guys and, meet the other players and, just kind of see how life was on campus. And I wanted to be a part of that. How did you do it with, having to be, obviously probably not being able to bring guys on campus?
Yeah, it was kind of a interesting deal there too. The whole first semester we couldn't bring anybody. Nobody outside of Ohio Wesleyan was allowed on our campus, and they so in the spring after maybe the beginning of March is when we started having kids able to come to campus, and that was real restrictive as well with masks and. They couldn't stay on campus. They couldn't do an overnight. I think you probably did an overnight with us. And most of the kids that we recruit will come and do an overnight on campus. So they get to stay in the dorms with the guys and get the vibe of the campus, get the social vibe and make sure it's the right place for them. We ended up with a good class, a pretty good class this year. And we're always, somewhere 30 to 40 kids. And we were right in there. I think we're having 36, and we didn't want a big class because we're going to have some of the seniors back, and so we didn't want to have a huge class and have those big numbers, because big more numbers mean more problems.
Yeah.
Honestly, so we're at a workable number. 2019, we were at 94 kids on the team, and we traveled every kid to every game. It was really a great team as far as chemistry goes. Everybody was pulling the same direction. We'll start the season between 105 and 110 guys, so it's a little bit inflated. We like to be 95 to 105. That way you can play JV and you can get those guys live reps and do that kind of thing, and still have enough guys to do some scout team stuff too.
Coach, not to pick on the big dogs, those guys up in D1, but we've been talking, and Nate and I always talk about the D3s and the D2s and for a coach, you've been there 26 years with the Bishops. It's got to be, for you, I would think, that the type of players that come in there because they really still love the game. Like you said, they know after 4 years they're probably not going to be playing in the NFL, but they still love the game and want to play. Is that something that I'm right on, that coaching at the D3, D2 level, the type of player you get makes it a lot more fun for coaching?
Yeah, you're dead on. I couldn't, I probably can't say it better. It's, the kind of kids we get are achievers, and, they want to make a difference. They want to play football. A lot of these guys would choose us for football and then academics. A lot of our guys, and then there are other guys who choose us for academics and football. So there's two sides of that coin. But a lot of our guys are just diehard, and they're so fun to coach. We can't wait to get down there at 4:00 and coach these guys up, and it's fun. I mean, we do more laughing than we do screaming. I'll tell you that for sure. Nate can attest to that. I mean, we laugh with the guys. We have fun with them. We try to push them and make them better in everything. That's ultimately our job, is to make them a better man than they were when they arrive. But most of these guys are really good men when they arrive at us, and it's just fun, kind of ushering them in the right direction. And it's an academic place, so most of the kids are really smart too, and they'll challenge you with their smarts, and that's a fun thing too.
Yeah, and some kids figure it out later. So, I think I fall in that category. But, it's better to figure out later than to never figure it out at all, is at least how I look at it. But, Coach, I got to ask you, I mean, you guys are 25 minutes, 30 minutes from Columbus, and obviously I'm a big Buckeye fan. And, the news today is, now because essentially these kids can get paid, Ewers, the quarterback, is not going to play his senior year of high school, and he's going to enroll in Columbus in the fall, and I guess compete with C.J. Stroud and Jack Miller and Kyle McCord, and now we're going to have 4 guys fighting for one job, which is crazy in itself. But I mean, I just want to get your opinion. I mean, what do you think about that? I know for me personally, you played football, Coach, and had a tremendous career at Toledo, and I can just remember playing my senior year of high school football and it being one of the good times of my life, and something that I'll never forget. I'm not Uncle Rico out there, talking about it every day, and reliving my glory days or anything like that. But I definitely remember playing my senior year and how fun it was and how it was cool to be the leader. I just can't imagine missing that. What's your thoughts on this kid?
Yeah, I don't know him. I've never even heard his name until you just mentioned. And I don't know any of the other Ohio State quarterbacks as well. I'm a fan of them. I want them to win. But I couldn't have told you one of their names. To me, it's the reason why you play is so you can represent your school. To me, that's always the way it was in high school and then in college. And I couldn't imagine leaving my high school buddies behind. I just couldn't imagine doing that. But I was never the talent that this kid is. And there's, the reality of it now is there was money to be made immediately.
Yeah.
And is that a good thing? I don't think so. But the reality of the situation is there's money to be made immediately, and if you don't take advantage of that, you may miss your window. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I always played for the love of the game, and I believe in that, and I would never compromise that. With my teammates, both in high school and in college, I never would have compromised that to get a quick money grab.
Yeah. And especially when this is a team that's plays in big time. He's from Dallas, Texas, okay, in case our listeners don't know, and he plays for Southlake Carroll, which is one of the best programs in the state of Texas every year, and they're competing for a state championship. Well, I'm sure the guy they have behind this kid's pretty good, but their chances for winning a state title, just went backwards with him leaving. And I think that's got to have an effect on his teammates. And I just can't imagine, like you said, leaving those kids behind. So it's definitely a different age. Yes. And the game is definitely going to be changing. I don't know if you agree with that, Coach.
Oh, I agree. I think those are the outliers there. I think he's an outlier. I don't think, 95% of the kids are going to stay in high school and play for their high school team, and 95% of the kids are going to want to play their college ball for their college. And I just think that, but the outliers, the guys that are, the super talents, I don't know, the LeBron James, I guess, or some kind of super talent. Like this kid may be a super talent. I don't know. But those guys will have that option now. And I don't know if that's a bad thing, because there's a lot of football coaches in the NCAA who've made a lot of money at the expense of some kids.
Yeah.
So that's it's an interesting topic, and I'm kind of on the fence on that. I would never leave my teammates behind, but I don't blame them for doing what their own college coach is doing.
Yeah. See, the only thing I have with that, coach, is, and I've used the analogy before, it kind of reminds me of horse racing and stud fees. It's like, don't play because you might get injured, but we're banking on your potential to suddenly become our star quarterback. And you know better than me because, like, as Nate said, you were a star at Toledo. You've played at high level. You've coached at a high level. You see these guys. I mean, I remember when Jimmy Clausen was going to Notre Dame, he was going to win 4 Heismans, or Ron Powless and all these guys. And, even for guys as super talented as they were in high school, it's a different game. It's like a pyramid. The more you go up, the thinner it gets, the fewer people can succeed. So, I mean, I understand the coaches do make a lot of money. I hate the fact that coaches sit there and tell a kid, I'm going to be there, especially I'm going to be at Iowa State for 4 years, and then all of a sudden USC comes along with a bag full of money, and that poor kid is left there and has a new coach he's got to impress. And, it's a dirty game in a lot of ways, and the more money that comes into it, it gets dirtier in a lot of ways. And I hope it doesn't take the legends, the romanticism, what a Saturday afternoon football game has meant to America. I mean, it's what fills our falls with fun. So, I mean, I would hate to see this become a lot where, players decide, well, I'm not going to play anymore this year, or whatever. They're already sitting out bowl games because, they know where they are going to be in the draft. And why do I have to play in a bowl game when we're not playing for number one? And it's, I don't know. I just see a lot of problems.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm not a fan of that. I don't. The great thing about football is it's the ultimate team sport, and if you take that out of it and make it about the individual, you're going to kill it. If you take that out of it and make it about, hey, well, I'm not going to play in this bowl game because it's only the Liberty Bowl or whatever. It's another game you get to play and represent your university. I don't agree with any of that. I don't agree with that stuff. I'm on board with you about that.
I mean, I'm not meaning to, try and put you up on a pedestal, but I mean, the kids are playing football at the level you're coaching, at least every year you might have a chance to win a championship. Now, we all know that 4 or 5 teams are going to be playing for the national championship. The rest of the NCAA guys are just showing up there. You know what I mean? Maybe some guys are good enough to be playing for NFL contracts or whatever. So, I mean, I wish that more people would be looking at, like I like the Ivies, the level you guys play at, because those kids still play for the fun of the game and they play to compete every week. And it's just a shame that that's get overlooked because we got Alabama and LSU on this weekend. That's all everybody's caring about.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's taken a turn, and with Texas and Oklahoma this past week or whatever, I think the NCAA, I don't know how much longer they're going to be able to control those kinds of programs, and because there's just too much money to be made. Yeah. And those contracts are out of this world, and they're going to end up doing their own thing. Yeah. I really believe that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see what happens over the next few years because, teams are already jumping ship with these conferences. And, there's teams that are not wanting, going to not want to get left in the dust, like this Big 12 thing. Oklahoma and Texas leaving. Well, what's Baylor going to do? What is Oklahoma State going to do? And I think it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out. But, the good thing about the Division III teams is, nothing's really going to change there. And I think that's good. And I love the way that, they still have the playoff system in the Division III where, they can act, you don't just get 4 teams, you actually get teams that get a chance. And Coach, what do you, before we get you out of here, I just want to hear your feelings about this upcoming year. Obviously, your guys' first game is, I believe, on the September 4th. Does that sound right?
Yep.
And let us know what the team's going to be like. Let us know what your feelings are going into the season after, not getting a full year last year. How excited are the kids? How excited are the coaches? Let us know what's going on.
Well, we're really excited about this year. We've got one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Now, there are a lot of really good quarterbacks in the league. In my opinion, we've got the best one. That's my opinion. But there are 5 teams with really good quarterbacks in the league, and that typically that's who wins the league. Whoever's got good quarterbacks. For us, we've got a really strong linebacker core, and got some good stuff defensively. I've got a really good defensive end who's a senior taking his extra year. And he's coming off an injury, but he's a terrific player, really, really good football player. So I'm really hopeful that we'll be good enough defensively to shut some of these people down. We'll have to play some young kids and maybe up front. We'll have to play some young kids. Offensively, our skill is really good. We have a senior coming back at running back, and that freshman I talked to you about earlier that will split time at running back, and sometimes we'll do some 2-back stuff. They're both really dynamic, fast, tough, really good players to go with our quarterback, and then our receiving core is really good. We've got some, we got a chance to score a lot of points. I just hope we don't need to score a lot of points, because then that would mean we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing on defense. But it's I'm really hopeful. We finished the last full season 7-3, and if we would have won our last game against Witt, we would have tied for the conference title. We were right there. We played really poorly defensively in that final game. But I think we've got as good a shot as any in the league. I think we'll probably be picked in the top 4 or 5, and in my opinion, the top 5, anybody could win it.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be an interesting deal. I like the fact that we played and did more than any other team in the conference last fall and last spring. So we've integrated some of those freshmen that maybe aren't integrated on other campuses in our league. But we really wanted to do as much as they were going to let us to do. And we really pushed the envelope on everything as far as, hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do this? Hey, can we do this? And, you got a bunch of no's, but every once in a while you get a yes. And so we did as much as we possibly could to try to keep our team tight together. And, I'm really looking forward to this season. I think we have a really good shot at competing for a championship.
Nice.
Hey, Coach, one more question for me. Nate's been floating this a little bit. He says, remember how Buddy Ryan named the 46 defense after Doug Plank? Well, he says you name your defense after his jersey number. Is that true?
That's somewhat true. I name it after every jersey number that ever played there before. Yeah, Doug Plank. I remember that dude. That guy brought it.
Yeah, Ohio State boy.
Yeah, that kid brought it. I mean, he was one of my favorites growing up. Oh boy.
Hey, I don't know about me, but there was some dudes on the teams I played on that were pretty damn good. That safety Mike Fowler was an All-American.
He's in the Hall of Fame now.
Yeah, Hall of Famer. And Ike Reed, defensive end, who actually signed a free agent contract with the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
Coach Delaney coached his ass up. And, there was a little bit of screaming that it took to get Ike to do what he was supposed to. But when he did, man, he was completely and utterly unstoppable. And I just wanted to have you on the show, Coach, because I really loved getting to know you as a coach and getting to know you as a dude, because you were a great coach, but even a better guy. And I wish you all the success this year. I'll be following along as I always do, and I hope you guys I hope you win the conference and kick all their asses.
All right. Thanks, Nate. I sure appreciate it. And that was one great defense we had with Fowler and Ike. I had one 2019 was pretty good. But those guys that was one tough crew.
Man, if we lost any games, it was not because the other team scored a ton of points. It was usually because we scored none. Because Coach Delaney coached an amazing defense, and we did have some pretty good players. But man, we didn't give up many. We may not have scored any, but we certainly didn't give up many at all.
Yeah, we made them earn it. That's for sure.
Told the offense to go out and hold them.
Yeah. All right. Well, good luck, Coach. We'll be following along, and I'll check in with you and see how you're doing. But best of luck to you, and thank you so much for coming on and talking with us.
Yeah, we'd love to have you on during the season.
Enjoyed it. Thanks.
Thank you. Nice meeting you, Coach.
Yep. Take care.
All right. Have a good one, Coach.
So good dude. Nice guy. He's a hell of a coach. 26 years.
26. And they don't switch coaches every year in Division III like they do in Division I, but they've gone through a coaching change, and the new coach, Coach Watts, who I don't know personally but seems like a great guy. I knew he was a good coach because the first thing he did was retained Coach Delaney and made sure that Coach Delaney was going to continue to run the defense. And I knew right then, I was like, this program is headed for good things because Coach Watts seems like a great guy and a good coach, and we don't have to worry about the defense now.
Well, it's like we said. I mean, like I talked to him about. I mean, these guys, the kids are still playing for love. Their love of the game. I mean, I hate to be the old man being critical of this kid. I mean, if I was 17 years old and someone telling me I can win get $1 million, I'd do it in a minute. You know what I mean? Especially for playing for my.
No, I don't. I'd never said I don't blame the kid. I mean,
I come up more like that.
No, I know. I'm just saying that I don't blame him. He's 18 years old, and there's companies that have already told him, we're going to give you $1 million. We're going to sign you to a deal to endorse our products or endorse our companies or whatever. If you go ahead and leave school. So I completely get it. And apparently from what I read today, I didn't know this, but apparently he's either graduated or he's going to graduate because he only needed one more credit this semester. So, I get that, but I feel bad for him because, now he's going to miss out on, playing his senior year. He's such a tremendous player. I mean, you can see him here in these videos. He can make every throw. He's amazing at reading defenses. He's strong. There's nothing this kid can't do, and it's just like he's been amazing so far. He's thrown for 73 touchdowns and almost 7,000 yards. But what could he do now when he's actually going to be a senior and he's been the starter for 2 years? I mean, I feel bad because he could have broken records. He could have won state championships, could have been a national All-American, Gatorade Player of the Year, all this stuff that, he's now just going to skip, for money. And I feel bad for him because it's, that's the part of football that I liked was, going out there and doing it. And now we're just like skipping some of it to get to the next part. And that to me, I think sucks for him.
Yeah, great players want to play out. They want to play. It's kind of like when you look at a ball player in whatever sport you want to go, and he sits out the last game of the year because there was no chance for his team to make the playoffs anyway. So he's like, well, I can get on my golf game early, or something like that. It's there's something about you wonder about his desire, and no one can.
Well, he's not sitting out. I mean, he's going to play college.
Well, you said you were looking into it. Can he?
Can he start? Yeah, he's going to compete immediately. Apparently, he's going to get to camp in the fall, and he's going to compete for the starting job right away. And to be honest, he
might walk away with it.
He may win the job, and it's crazy to think of because they already have, as I was mentioning, Delaney doesn't pay attention to it, but I do. They've got C.J. Stroud. They've got Kyle McCord, who was the National Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year last year. And then they have Jack Miller, who was a 4-star, the number 10 prospect, just 2 years ago. And both McCord and both CJ Stroud and Jack Miller redshirted. So you've got 2 redshirt freshmen and a freshman who are now probably going to take a back seat to a high school senior. And it's just, it's kind of unfair to them considering they didn't think this kid was even going to be there.
And also, you don't know how their teammates, not that they won't do their job on the field, because these guys, Ohio State players, are competing to get to the NFL. They're not looking, they're not going to do anything, their job any less. But as far as being a friend to him off the field or having him hang out or being one of the guys, he might get ostracized a little bit by these older guys who sit there and go, you're 17, dude. You go earn your stripes on campus before you come hang with us. We'll take care of you on Saturday. We'll take care of your practice. I mean, there's that emotional aspect to it, and no one can look into it. But another thing that came to mind just when we were talking about it is, everybody knows the story of Todd Marinovich and how he was robo quarterback, and he got to USC, and that wasn't even about money. That was about the pathway to the NFL. Now with money, how these parents are going to be pushing these kids and turning them, first of all, into hating the game in a lot of cases, and also just becoming just not well-rounded people. You know what I mean? Marinovich ended up going into heavy drug use and stuff like that. Not that I would predict that for this kid or anybody else, but there's got to be a balance, and the money is just going to, I just don't know how some parents can walk away from the fact that their kid can make $1 million at 18 years old and not push it. And I don't know.
You got to wonder. You got to wonder whose decision this was. I hope it was his. I really do. I hope it was his. Because if it was his decision, not playing his senior year of high school, he'll probably be able to live with that because it was his decision. Now, if his family wanted him to go ahead and get the $1 million and help them out, pay their house off or something like that, that's a different story. Now, from all accounts, I believe his family does pretty well. So yeah. I don't think that's the case, but I'm not talking about Quinn in particular. I'm talking about other kids that may be, told to do the same thing just because their family wants some cash. I don't know, but it's going to be interesting. I'm going to definitely be interested to see how this quarterback race, turns out, because these other kids have been there now, fighting for this job, and none of them has ever, really spent considerable time on the field. So you're basically going to be throwing out whoever it is based on potential. And this kid might be the most talented out of all those guys, even though they're all talented. It's going to be pretty crazy. And I read this today based on, Quinn's reclassification. The 2021 class at Ohio State now has the highest rated player ever in Quinn Ewers, and then also the 2 highest rated defensive players ever with Jack Sawyer and JT Lamoya, because they, that JT reclassified. So they now have the 3 highest rated players of all time in one class. So, lots of talent up there in Columbus. There's going to be a lot of expectations, but there always is. So, that's nothing new for the Buckeyes.
No, it's not. But you remember, this is a 17-year-old kid who's 18. Never had anything go. What? 18?
18. Just turned 18.
Okay, but he's never had anything go wrong for him so far, and it's national TV at a vicious level. Playing NCAA football. The first, maybe he'll have like what Rattler had, where he threw the interception and the coach put him on the sideline. He was able to recover from it. That kind of thing happens with this kid. He might not recover from it. You know what I mean? We don't know. We don't know.
It's going to be interesting for me to see too. Like, let's say that this is all hypothetical at this point, but let's say that Ewers shows up on campus, he wins the job. Well, do these other 3 guys transfer? I mean, they're not all 4 going to stay,
No.
and wait, because he's now a freshman. I mean, he's going to be there for at least 3 years. So, do the other three guys, hit the portal? I mean, that's just the world we live in now.
It has to.
These other coaches were fired up when they saw that, Ewers was going on campus, because they're like, heck, we could probably get Stroud, or maybe we can get McCord, or maybe we can get Jack Miller. I mean, all three of those guys could probably start at every other school in the Big Ten.
If not every school, they definitely have starting jobs somewhere in the United States. I mean, we could probably name 10 major universities they could go to right now.
Oh, Stroud and McCord could start anywhere in the country, pretty much, unless
Northwestern needs a quarterback.
But Miller too. I mean, all three of them looked pretty good in the spring game. So now they've got four of them, and it's a position where you only have one on the field at a time. So it's, this is going to be a tricky situation for Ryan Day. He's handled everything up to this point magically. We'll see if it'll continue for him.
Well, I mean, I don't think a coach is a problem. I'll tell you one thing. If you ask any coach in America, having too much talent is never a problem. I mean, what I would say if I was Ryan Day, if the kid comes in and wins the job, and the other guys start crying about it, it's like, well, you should have held him off.
Yeah,
the best guy's going to play. I mean, I'm here to win, not just I have to worry about the other 70-some players on this team, not just you. There's no. You knew already you were 1 in 3 guys going out for this. Now it's 1 in 4, and he won it all. So you don't feel sorry for him at the top of it, but I know in what you're saying too is that's the vicious part of this. That's what the reality of the NCAA. I mean, that's why when I was doing a lot of writing, and I'd have parents come up to me and ask me about what they thought about their kid, I go, well, whoever he's recruiting him, I don't know who it is. I don't want to know who it is. But remember one thing, he's recruiting someone to replace him right the same day. It's just the truth of the matter. I mean, they don't just go out on a recruiting trip with their plane and stop and visit one guy. They stop and visit every player in that area, and they're offering the same thing.
There's no doubt. I mean, the one thing about Ohio State now is, if you go there, no one's getting the job handed to them. I mean, I just don't believe that. They're so talented at every position. I mean, if you look at Clemson, Ohio State, Alabama, these teams, Oklahoma, Georgia, even those teams all are so loaded with talent. You better be willing to compete. You better believe in yourself, and you better, want to be there, because there's no way for certain to know that you're going to be the starter. I mean, these guys are all good, and they're all talented. So my recommendation to them all is to, play wide receiver or play running back or linebacker, where, there's a bunch of guys that get to play, on the field at the same time, because playing quarterback, man, you're just one of you is going to be out there, and the rest of you are going to be watching.
Yeah, unless you're Jacob Eason. Jake Fromm beats him out. He goes over and gets to Washington, and now he's on the Colts, and maybe starting for the Colts in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah, well, he worked out good for him being on the same team as Wentz. The glass menagerie has fallen off the shelf once again. The guy is already hurt. I like him. I like him a lot as a kid. He seems like a really nice guy. But, they talk about, as I mentioned, earlier in the show, they talk about Jimmy Garoppolo, being replaced because he can't stay healthy. He's been a lot healthier than Wentz has over the last few years, until last year. So we'll see what happens. More successful. Exactly. He's won more games too. So we'll see what happens. But, I think this surely will open the eyes, not only to the coaching staff, but also to the front office, in that, maybe they got a decent deal getting him in, but they need to get an insurance policy, in my opinion, if they're going to make a run. And they do want to make a run. I mean, they made a run last year with Phillip Rivers, and they want to make another run this year. He's been able to win no matter who he's had at quarterback, but whoever it is got to be healthy.
Well, I mean, it's them and the Titans. I mean, they've got Jacksonville and the Texans. No matter what happens with Deshaun Watson, we saw what happened last year with Deshaun Watson. He couldn't do it all by himself as much as he tried. So it comes down to them being able to beat the Titans, but they're going to need a quarterback to at least make sure they beat Jacksonville and beat the Texans. But it's the heartbreak of Wentz. I don't know if you saw a couple of Twitter things that went on today, cleaning up a little bit here. Aaron Rodgers is tooling around Green Bay in his little golf cart, putting on a show, I guess. So I guess he's happy to be back in Green Bay, at least for this year. And then there was another funny one that's out there of Jared Goff at practice. They had him mic'd up. And I don't know how good quarterback he is, but he seemed pretty funny. He seemed like a pretty funny guy.
I'm cheering for Jared Goff. I really am. I like him. I think I'm not sure he's a top 10 quarterback or anything like that, but he's taken a team to a Super Bowl, and I think he got a lot of the blame in Los Angeles for anything that went wrong on offense when I'm not sure 100% of it was his fault, but we'll certainly find out, because if he can win in Detroit, then he's really damn good, because it's going to be tough to win there even with this new regime. Yeah,
I don't know. We'll see how good the coach. It's gonna be all about the coaching staff there. I mean, I think Jared Goff is, like you said, I think he is a system quarterback, and in the right system with the right team around him, he's not going to hurt you. But if you think he's going to be the guy flinging the ball around trying to win 4 games by himself, he's not that guy. He's beautifully adept at a system quarterback, and kind of like Garoppolo is. I mean, but the bigger part of that trade is Matt Stafford now has run out of excuses with the Rams.
Yeah, no, he's gonna have to win right away, and we've talked on this show a lot about how they're up against it cap wise, and I'm not sure how. They're going to be counting on a lot of young guys this year. That's just what it's going to come down to. They just didn't have the cap room to sign a ton of help for Matthew. And then Cam Akers, has already torn his Achilles, and he's done for the season. So everything McVay wants to do offensively is based off of the run game.
Yep.
And being able to run the ball effectively. And, they've already lost one. They lost one running back to free agency, and then now they've lost their starter, Cam Akers, for the season. So, it's going to be tough for Matt Stafford to win also. I think both these guys are in kind of tough situations.
All right, before we sign off, one question we got. Is the USA Spain tomorrow night, the 3rd, or tonight at midnight?
For basketball?
Yeah.
I believe
I think it's live tonight at midnight or 12:30.
I would have to check that out. I'm not 100%.
All right, I think I saw it at 3rd. So either way, what do you think?
The quarterfinal is tomorrow, or it's August 3rd, so it might be at midnight tonight. Whatever, it's 12:40 on the 3rd a.m. So I don't know. They played better, the past couple of games, but the competition's been different. Spain is a good team. But, if these guys play well, if they're actually gelling, like everyone's saying they are, they can beat them. But it's going to take definitely a concerted effort on defense, and it's going to take them actually running some offensive sets instead of just playing one-on-one.
Yeah. So, well, we all know they can win. It's about will they win, and that's the whole question. But anyways, hey, everybody, thanks for tuning in tonight. It's the Safety and Sportswriter show with Knoxville, Nate, and Big Joe. Thanks, Coach Pat Delaney of the Ohio Wesleyan Battling Bishops. I never knew they were the Battling Bishops till now. But it was great to interview him. We'll have to have him on during the year, and good luck to him and the Battling Bishops as they take on the Ohio Valley area there. And we'll be back on Thursday night to talk about the rest of sports. We'll talk about the U.S. Olympic team and what they do. But it'll be later on tonight or early tomorrow, whatever you want to call it.
Tomorrow, apparently.
Yeah. Oh, tomorrow. Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you, Aaron. Keep us on our toes here. I get confused because they play at a.m. So it's like, is it today or at a.m. or tomorrow? That's what confused me. But luckily my sister got the smarts in the family, so she knows.
And the looks. So there you go.
There's no doubt about that.
All right. Everybody have a good night. We will be back on Thursday night, 7 o'clock. Thanks for tuning in. Good night, Nate.
Good night.